Have you ever looked up at the night sky and felt like a kind of a weird mix of awe and fear?
Yeah.
It's kind of strange, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to
Uh-huh.
be exploring the connection between space and fear
Okay.
and the origin of everything, really.
Wow.
And we're going to be doing that based on a couple of sources.
Okay.
The first one is The Nature of Existence, Questions and Answers.
Okay.
And then the second one is an excerpt from The Nature of Existence, Subconscious Origins and Fear.
Okay.
So those are going to be our two sources for today's deep dive.
Right.
And both of these propose some really mind-bending ideas about how our subconscious shapes reality.
Yeah, and what's really intriguing to me is this idea that space isn't just an empty void.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually like a canvas, and it reflects our internal world,
Mm.
especially our fears.
So it's not that space is literally filled with stuff,
Right.
but we project our fears onto the blackness.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, though, the sources don't really specify what we fear in this context.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, and I think it really kind of speaks to the deeply personal nature of fear.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about like concrete threats that are out there in space,
Right.
but it's more about how we react to the unknown.
Yeah.
The vastness, the feeling of insignificance it can evoke in us.
Right, and that ties into what the sources say. They say that space and everything in it is a manifestation of the subconscious, unconscious, and conscious aspects of existence.
Wow.
It's like our deepest selves are woven into the fabric of space.
Yeah, and I think this whole concept of subconscious influence goes beyond just how we perceive space.
Mm.
Think about it this way. How do we react to a sudden noise in the dark,
Oh, yeah.
right? Our initial response, like fear or curiosity, it's often shaped by past experiences and subconscious beliefs.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's all connected.
Okay, so how does this connect to the eternal womb that both sources mention? As the source of creation, they describe it creating intentions or light out of a desire to be loved, but then they say fear is the path to loving this creator. It seems a bit paradoxical.
It does, and I wonder if rather than a creator needing love, this desire speaks to like a fundamental impulse for connection inherent in creation itself.
Okay.
Like maybe this light represents the first impulse of existence driven by that yearning for connection.
That's a fascinating interpretation.
Yeah?
So fear could be seen as part of that journey towards connection, a way to understand ourselves and our place in the universe.
Exactly. And the sources even state this. They say one will inevitably use fear as the ultimate feeling that will lead oneself to loving the creator of oneself.
Wow.
Like this suggests that fear, while it's often seen as negative, is a necessary step towards a deeper understanding of ourselves and our connection to the source of existence.
It really challenges us to reconsider the role of fear, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, maybe it's a catalyst for growth. Pushing us to confront our limitations and connect with something larger.
Totally. And this idea of confronting our fears brings us right back to the concept of the subconscious shaping our reality.
Yeah.
If our perception of space is colored by our inner world,
Uh-huh.
then understanding our fears, particularly the ones evoked by the unknown, could be key to understanding our place in the universe.
So the vastness of space, the darkness, it becomes a mirror reflecting back our deepest fears and potentially the path to overcoming them.
That's a really compelling way to put it, and it makes me wonder how the source's equation of light with intentions fits into this idea of confronting our fears in the face of the vast unknown.
Right? It's like if the eternal womb created with the intention to be loved, and fear is the path to that love, then maybe by confronting our deepest fears, we're actually fulfilling that intention in some way.
That's a really profound thought. It suggests that our individual journeys of confronting our fears and understanding ourselves are somehow contributing to a larger cosmic purpose.
It's almost like we're participating in a huge cosmic dance, and our individual steps, even the fearful ones, are all part of a larger choreography.
I love that. And if the eternal womb created with the intention to be loved, perhaps those intentions aren't just about the initial spark of existence,
Mm-hmm.
but also about the ongoing process of creation, evolution, and connection that we're all a part of.
That raises an interesting question. If our individual journeys of confronting fear contribute to this eternal womb's desire for love, what does that mean for our understanding of the darkness itself?
Hmm.
Is it truly something to be feared, or is it, as you said earlier, a fertile ground for growth and connection?
That's a great point. The sources seem to be suggesting that the darkness isn't inherently negative.
Right.
It's more like a canvas onto which we project our fears.
Yeah, so maybe then by confronting those fears and understanding their root in our subconscious, we can begin to see the darkness not as something to be feared, but as a space for transformation, for connection, even for love.
That's a beautiful way to frame it. And it makes me wonder, what would it look like to embrace the darkness, to see it as a source of potential rather than something to be feared?
It's a powerful question to consider, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And one that I think we'll need to explore further.
Yeah, definitely. But for now, I think it's important to just sit with these ideas
Yeah.
and kind of let them percolate a bit.
I agree. There's so much to unpack here, and I'm already feeling my understanding of fear and space and the very nature of creation shifting a little bit.
Me too. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It is wild.
It's amazing to think about, our individual fears, those personal experiences might actually be reflections of this universal yearning for connection
Mhm.
playing out on like this huge stage of space.
Yeah, it really challenges us to look at our fears in a totally new light.
Right?
Not as obstacles that we need to avoid, but as opportunities to actually understand ourselves and where we fit into the universe.
But how do we apply these mind-bending concepts
Right.
to our daily lives? I mean, it's
Yeah.
easy to get caught up in these big cosmic ideas, but how can we actually use this understanding of fear and the subconscious to make tangible change in our everyday experiences?
Well, that's where the real work begins.
Yeah.
And the sources don't really offer us a step-by-step guide,
Yeah.
but they do emphasize that inner work is really important,
Yeah.
understanding our subconscious minds.
They literally say that space is a manifestation of our subconscious, unconscious, and conscious minds.
Wow.
It's like our inner world is projected onto this canvas of the cosmos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if our perception of space is shaped by our subconscious,
Mhm.
then that means our everyday experiences are too.
Right.
Think about how differently people react to the same situation.
Oh, yeah.
Some people see a challenge and it's like an exciting opportunity,
Uh-huh.
and then other people shrink back in fear. And a lot of these reactions are rooted in our subconscious beliefs and past experiences.
So if we want to change our relationship with fear, we need to understand where those fears come from in our subconscious.
Exactly. And that's where practices like therapy or journaling or meditation can be so valuable. They help us become aware of what those beliefs and patterns are that are shaping our reactions.
It's like by becoming more aware of our subconscious, we can start to unravel those knots of fear that are holding us back.
Exactly. And as we do that,
Yeah.
we might actually find that those intentions or that light that sources talk about start to appear in our own lives. Like maybe we start to take risks that we never would have before,
Right.
or we finally go after that creative thing that we've always wanted to do.
That makes a lot of sense. If we can let go of fear, we create space for new possibilities, new connections, and maybe even a deeper sense of love for ourselves and the world around us.
And that brings us right back to that eternal womb's desire to be loved. Maybe by confronting our fears and just living more authentically, we are in some way fulfilling that huge cosmic desire.
Yeah.
Like our individual acts of courage and creation are like tiny sparks of light, contributing to this big illumination of the universe.
That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like we're all part of something so much bigger than ourselves. A huge symphony of existence where every single note, even the dissonant ones, contribute to this overall harmony.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to this interconnectedness of everything.
Right.
The idea that our individual journeys aren't these isolated events.
Yeah.
They're actually threads in this vast and intricate tapestry.
That's amazing. It's really awe-inspiring.
It is.
But going back to the sources, there
Yeah.
was one point that really kind of left me wondering.
Okay.
They mentioned the blackness of space being a canvas for our fears,
Uh,
but they don't actually say what we should fear when we look at this huge vastness of space.
right.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. And while the sources leave that open to our interpretation,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the most common and maybe like most primal fears that we face when we contemplate space is the fear of our own insignificance.
I can definitely relate to that. Looking up at a night sky full of stars,
Yeah.
it's hard not to feel small,
Right.
even insignificant in the face of something so immense.
It really is. And that feeling can be really unsettling.
Yeah.
It can make us question our purpose, our value, even our very existence.
Right.
But I think the sources are suggesting that even this fear of insignificance can help us grow.
So instead of letting that fear stop us in our tracks, we can use it as fuel for exploration, for self-discovery.
Exactly. We can ask ourselves, if I'm so small,
Yeah.
why am I here?
Right.
What's my role in this huge universe?
Yeah.
What's the meaning of my existence?
And maybe those questions don't lie out in the stars,
Right.
but inside of ourselves.
Exactly. It's by looking inward, by understanding our fears and our desires,
Mhm.
that we can begin to understand where we fit in the cosmos.
Yeah.
The journey inward, I think, is also a journey outward.
It's like the microcosm and the macrocosm reflecting each other,
Yeah,
revealing this deeper interconnectedness between us and the universe.
that's a really beautiful way to put it. And it suggests that even though we might feel small
Yeah.
compared to the cosmos,
Uh-huh.
we are not insignificant.
Right.
We are part of something so much bigger,
Yeah.
something ancient and mysterious and awe-inspiring.
It's a profound thought to hold on to.
It is.
And it makes me wonder, what other insights might we get from exploring the depths of our subconscious?
Yeah.
From facing those fears that are hiding in the shadows of our being.
That's a great question, and one that I think we'll need to explore further.
Yeah.
Maybe by understanding the nature of fear, we can unlock an even deeper understanding of the universe itself.
So we've been talking about fear in the eternal womb, and I keep thinking about how the sources describe light as intentions. It's like all the darkness, both inside of us and out there in space.
Right.
It's kind of like the backdrop for these intentions,
Mm-hmm.
these little sparks of creation so they can shine even brighter.
Yeah, that's a really insightful observation.
Yes.
It really does suggest that even when we're facing fear and uncertainty, there's always a potential for something good,
Right.
something bright to come out of it.
Yeah, like the darkness isn't something to be afraid of,
Right.
but more like fertile ground where new possibilities can come from.
Yeah.
Do you think the sources are saying that these intentions or this light
Yeah.
are not just about that initial spark of creation,
Uh-huh.
but like the whole ongoing process of creation and evolution
Yeah.
happening all around us, even inside of us?
I think that's a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
It changes our perspective from just like a single moment
Right.
to this constant unfolding process.
Always moving and changing.
I-
And if that's true, then maybe we as individuals play a bigger role in that unfolding than we realize.
Right.
Like, could our own intentions, our desires to create, to connect, to love,
Yeah.
be part of this big cosmic dance?
That's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's like we're not just watching this whole thing happen.
Yeah.
We're actually part of it.
Yeah.
Like co-creators with the eternal womb.
It's like we have power to look at our lives and the choices we make
Yeah.
in a whole new way.
Totally.
Even though we might not understand the big picture,
Uh-huh.
we can still choose to align ourselves with those good intentions,
Absolutely.
with that creative force that's flowing through everything.
And maybe by doing that,
Yeah.
we're not only like answering the eternal womb's desire to be loved,
Right.
we're actually bringing more light, more love, more beauty into the world.
This has been an amazing deep dive.
It has.
I mean, we've explored some really wild concepts.
I know.
Fear, darkness, the eternal womb,
Yeah.
light as intentions.
Right.
Our role in this whole process of creation. It's been a journey.
It really has, and we've covered a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to remember that this is just the beginning.
Absolutely. These are just starting points for you to keep exploring on your own.
So what really stood out to you from our conversation?
Yeah. What questions are you thinking about right now?
Yeah.
Maybe you're feeling inspired to explore your own subconscious a little more.
Yeah.
To face your fears and see what's on the other side.
Or maybe you're feeling a new sense of awe
Yeah.
when you look at the vastness of space and think
Yeah.
about where you fit into it all.
Whatever it is, we hope this deep dive has sparked something in you.
Yes.
A desire to explore, to connect, to create.
And as always, keep looking up at those stars.
Yeah.
Keep questioning, keep searching, and keep shining your own unique light.
Until next time.
See you then.